November the 22nd, 1963, President John F. Kennedy is assassinated in broad daylight, surrounded by security. Yet the official story leaves more questions than answers. A last-minute route change, a shooter hired just weeks before, and a mysterious woman capturing it all on camera. Was this a perfect crime or something much bigger? This is the truth behind one of history's most shocking assassinations. American President John F. Kennedy's assassination took place at a time when he was traveling through downtown Dallas in his highly secured motorcade. Secret Service agents and an entire police motorcade accompanied him. Not only that, but the FBI had been monitoring the entire route for days. Despite all these precautions, Kennedy was shot near Dealey Plaza and died almost instantly. Minutes after the attack, the CIA, FBI, Secret Service, and police sprang into action. However, despite all their power and resources, they were unable or unwilling to bring anyone to justice except a single shooter named Lee Oswald. Was this a well-planned conspiracy? Or did a lone shooter outsmart the world's top intelligence agencies and assassinate the most famous president from just a few feet away? The official story didn't sit well with the public. There was a direct and faster route from the airport to the banquet venue. So why was the motorcade routed through the heart of the city? Who planned this route? The official claim was that a lone shooter carried out the attack. But was that really a coincidence, or was it a planned execution? The shocking fact is that just a month before the assassination, Oswald got a job at the Texas School Book Depository through a simple phone call. How? In the video footage of the shooting scene, a woman wearing a scarf was seen taking photographs of the assassination. Why has she never been found? And what was her connection to this event? You're watching It's Real. And today, we're uncovering one of history's biggest mysteries. President John F. Kennedy's death plunged millions of Americans into grief, but the investigation into the case failed to answer many pressing questions. It is widely believed that U.S. intelligence agencies hid many details about the assassination and kept the truth from the public. And there are many reasons to believe this. The first is the venue selection. President Kennedy was scheduled to give a political speech in Dallas, Texas. There were two venue options, the Trade Mart and the Women's Building. The White House recommended the Women's Building, but Texas Governor John Connally insisted on the Trade Mart because it was a banquet hall, while the Women's Building lacked a proper interior for a presidential event. On November 14, 8 days before the assassination, the Trade Mart was selected. However, this information was not made public. Now, the next question was, how would the president travel from Love Field Airport to the Trade Mart? Normally, presidential motorcades take routes with minimal obstacles and turns. There was a direct route that bypassed the city and led straight to the Trade Mart. But that route was not chosen. Instead, the motorcade was directed through downtown Dallas, passing right by the Texas School Book Depository, where the shooter was waiting. If you think this route was specially planned to make the assassination easier, you're mistaken. This decision was made at the president's own request because he wanted to drive through a crowd of people. But let's assume that the Women's Building had been chosen instead of the Trade Mart. If that were the case, the motorcade would have taken a different route, heading east. This would have increased the distance from the Texas School Book Depository, making it harder for the shooter to take aim. Additionally, the First Lady, Jacqueline Kennedy, who always sat on the president's left side, would have partially blocked the shooter's view. So, selecting the Trade Mart as the venue was crucial in the assassination plan. And as we just discussed, it was Texas Governor John Connally who made that decision. But can we suspect his intentions? Not really, because he was sitting in the presidential limousine with his wife when the attack happened. He was also shot, but he survived. Interestingly, Governor Connolly was against the idea of taking the motorcade through the city. He wanted the president to take the safer, outer route to the Trade Mart. So, who planned all of this so meticulously? The motorcade route and venue were made public only 4 days before the assassination. Before that, nobody knew this information, but something had happened 2 months earlier at the Texas School Book Depository that suggested someone already had this information. 2 months before the assassination, the depository suddenly faced a staffing shortage. In September 1963, a man named Wesley Frazier received a job offer there through an employment agency. He lived in a town called Irving, half an hour away. On September 13th, he arrived at the depository and was immediately hired. A month later, on October 15, Frazier's neighbor also got a job at the depository through a simple phone call. That neighbor was none other than Lee Oswald, the man who would be arrested 39 days later for assassinating JFK. Oswald didn't have a driver's license, so he couldn't commute daily. Instead, he rented a room in Dallas and only traveled to Irving with Frazier on weekends. This routine continued for about a month, but on November 21st, just 1 day before the assassination, Oswald broke his routine. That Thursday, he traveled to Irving with Frazier, saying he would stay in Dallas for the weekend. The next morning, when he left for work, he was carrying a long paper bag, claiming it contained curtain rods for his room. Half an hour before the assassination, Oswald was seen on the 6th floor of the depository. It was lunchtime, and while all the employees went downstairs, Oswald remained alone upstairs. At exactly 12:30 p.m., Kennedy's motorcade arrived. The president was seated on the right, and the First Lady was on his left. The governor and his wife were in the front. As soon as the limousine made a left turn past the depository, gunshots rang out. One bullet hit the president's neck, and another struck his head. The driver immediately sped away, but it's believed Kennedy died on the spot. A police officer saw a man shooting from the 6th floor. He rushed inside but found no one. Within minutes, the entire building was sealed off, and no employees were allowed to leave. But Lee Oswald was missing. Oswald had fled. He went home, changed clothes, took his pistol, and left. Police were already searching for him. When a patrolling officer spotted him, Oswald shot him 4 times and killed him. He then hid in a movie theater but was soon arrested. For the next 2 days, the FBI and CIA interrogated him, but no recordings were made. There is no evidence of what happened in that closed room. On November 24th, while Oswald was being transferred from the police headquarters to jail, right in front of the media and police, a man shot him. The same hospital where John F. Kennedy was taken, Lee Oswald also breathed his last there. This was the official story, but many eyewitnesses claimed the man they saw on the 6th floor did not look like Oswald. Before being shot, Oswald repeatedly told the media, "I'm innocent. Nobody has told me anything."
In fact, nobody has said that to me yet. The first thing I heard about was when the newspaper reporters in the hall asked me that.
So, if Oswald planned this assassination so carefully, why did he make such obvious mistakes afterward, like fleeing, killing a police officer, and hiding in a theater? Many investigations were conducted, but they only made the case more confusing. Some believe Oswald was silenced by the same forces behind the assassination because if this was a conspiracy, it couldn't have happened without inside help. Many suspect the FBI and CIA were involved because evidence was tampered with and crucial footage disappeared. But one thing was recorded, something that could have solved this mystery forever. A woman wearing a scarf, known as the Babushka Lady, was seen filming the assassination. Many people say that the Babushka Lady was also part of this plan, and her job was to capture the entire scene. To this day, the FBI has never found her. What do you think? Was this a lone shooter or a grand conspiracy? Let me know in the comments. And if you want to know how President John F. Kennedy's promise to put humans on the moon was fulfilled, click here and subscribe for more.